Good day, podcast community. I'm Pete Kane, the Pete Kane Podcast Show, and we have a special guest on the podcast. We go back 50 years, 50, maybe 52. We actually were roommates back a number of years. So he is the first of our class of 1975 to be on the podcast. So, Chris, tell us who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and we'll get into the podcast.
Okay, Pete, thanks. Name is Chris Bailey, lifelong Richmond native. Like Pete was saying, we go back to freshman year in high school.
Yep.
And let's see here. We were roommates for about, 3 years, Pete?
Yeah, there was quite a few. Yeah, we solved a few of the problems back then. They're still going on, so maybe we didn't solve all of them.
The legendary Bali High, right off of
Yes,
on Etheridge Drive in beautiful Henrico County, Virginia.
It was a social spot. I mean,
What's that?
It was a magnet for the ladies in the West.
Oh, it was a chick magnet place.
Yeah,
I mean, seriously.
And you know what was funny is I didn't reflect that in the rent. I mean, it was a straight up.
No. Oh my God!
I could have charged more, but I didn't because I wanted that to be a fringe benefit.
Remember, not to change the subject, but remember when you built that little tiny room right off the dining room for Mike Natale?
Yeah,
that was the size of a closet.
Really, I didn't see. Somebody else said that. I don't remember that. I remember the room. I remember another guy moving in who was a golf friend of mine.
Dennis Berry.
Yes. His name. Yes. Very good memory.
I still have a good long-term memory, but I can't remember anything just short. Yeah, short term. My short term's gone to hell.
Well, okay. That's two of us then. So I guess we just got to accept what we can remember and go with it. So Absolutely. That leads me to, I'm going to ask you some thought-provoking questions because we have our 50th reunion coming up the end of May. And the weird thing is for people out of town like myself, been gone for 40-some years, we don't know what people have been doing. And, I don't want to come to the reunion and say, hey, Chris, what have you been doing the last 45, 50 years? So we want to be able to give people at least the highlights of some things so they can reconnect and enjoy the reunion. Well, and maybe even beyond the reunion, reconnect and do some things together, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So are you ready for the first question?
First question, fire away.
What's one thing about your life today that your 18-year-old self would be surprised or proud to know?
Oh, man, that's a weird question because I really don't know. I mean, my life, and I'll be honest, probably a lot of guys, it was kind of prescribed for us as we went along. We went to high school, got out of high school, either went to work or went to school, got a job, got married, raised a family, worked, and then, in my case, got divorced and retired in the same year. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, everything kind of went the way it was supposed to go, the way it was prescribed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So tell me, because, we grow through our kind of trauma or whatever we can. I mean, it's just part of life. So what was the first year like after your divorce? So how did you kind of reconnect with everybody?
That's a good question. Really, because this was during COVID too. So
okay,
nobody went out, nobody did anything. I kind of sat here in my house by myself. I have some neighbors I'm good friends with that live down the street. We'd go down there, but that was it for about a year. I didn't connect with anybody. I was kind of in this isolated little bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't do a whole lot of things. And all of a sudden, then I started dating somebody, and that helped me draw me out of my shell. But still, I don't do a whole, being retired and all that stuff. I don't go out a lot anymore, et cetera, et cetera. But things are going pretty good, and I'm connecting with people. The monthly formations that we have for our classmates, enjoy that, reconnecting with people. And then I connect a lot with my neighbors, good friends with a lot of my neighbors, and a lot of former coworkers I connect with.
That's good. So, when you retired, there's a kind of because I lived in a retirement community. I didn't know it, but it was a 55 and older, but the average age was 80. And so I kind of got a chance to see and be a part of the later in life phase. Because, I mean, we're still, at 65, 66, 67 or whatever. No, I say maybe 68. How old are you?
68. I'll be 69 in January.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of wild because I remember thinking, you think when you're in high school, oh, you're 60-ish. Wow, that's old. But now we are, so we can't say that.
No, I thought 40 was old.
Yeah.
When I was at Benedictine, I thought 40, you had one foot in the grave.
Yeah.
Now I realize 40, you're still a spring chicken.
Yeah. Yeah, you totally. We've kind of kind of a reset on age because it doesn't matter.
Exactly. And let me tell you something. At 68, I still think I am as immature, annoying, and obnoxious as I was when I was 18. I haven't gotten older.
So that could be something that when you think about it is like we get older. And I know you're just kidding about that. But here's what I want with yourself now. Retirement is a lot of what we're seeing because at 65, 66, 67, a lot of people retire. What was that first year that you retired? So you have your coworkers, you have your regular routine. Now you're separated from that. Did you find it hard to adjust, or was that first year kind of feeling things out?
I was feeling things out. It was not hard to adjust. I was ready to retire. I had been wanting to retire for about 3 to 5 years. Before that, I was holding out for an early retirement package, and I never got that. But what they did, and I worked for Anthem, the large health insurance company. They outsourced our whole division to IBM, and IBM said, well, you have to apply for your job. If you don't get it, we'll give you this nice severance. You'll get 6 months salary, et cetera, et cetera. So I wanted to retire so bad. I just literally took my son's resume, took his name out, put my name in and updated it a little bit and sent it in and was praying that I would not get hired. So, there was never, I wasn't depressed. I wasn't upset about it. I was looking forward to it.
Right.
So
tell me a typical week or day now that you're not going into the office, that you have that freedom. What does it look like in your life?
Every day is different. Some days I'll get up, come downstairs, have a cup of coffee, read emails, go on the internet, et cetera, just chill around the house, watch TV, read, do things around there. And other days I'll be going out, hanging out with friends, going places. Really, there's no single particular typical day for me.
Right.
And a lot of people go, you don't have, you're not doing any volunteer work. You don't have hobbies. Yeah, I do. It's just, it just changes up every day. There's no typical day.
So tell me, like being a dad and raising 2 sons, what is your life like now pouring into your kids versus, years ago when you were so busy working, sometimes hard to, have the time that you have now?
Hard? What is that? Just kidding. It's different because my younger son, he lives down in Charlotte. So I don't see him a lot. I talk to him once or twice a week, catching up on what he's doing. And he's very he's an extrovert. He's very out there, knows everybody, and is
Mhm.
always doing things. My other son, my eldest son, lives here in Richmond, bought his first house, and he is very introverted. So I do a lot of things with him. We go out together. We go out and go out to have lunch and dinner, that type of thing. I'll try to help him out at his house, babysit his dog when he goes out of town or goes hunting or fishing.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's it. I mean, the older you get, I feel like my kids are no longer my kids. They're more almost like peers. And I
Mhm.
don't know if you feel that way with your kids.
Yeah.
You're always going to be raising them,
Right.
but it's not going to be, it's not the same. Whereas when they were younger, you were taking them places, participating in sporting events, that type of thing.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, no, I agree. The relationship changes for sure as you get older. I want to ask one question. What's a lesson you've learned that you wish you could go back and share with your 18-year-old self? Like you're getting out of college, what lesson could you, and even to the point you're talking to your boys and you're saying they're not 18, but let's just say if you could talk to them at 18, talk to yourself, what lesson would you share?
oh Lord, probably don't sweat the little things. You
Mm-hmm.
know, pursue things that you're passionate about, that you love to do, and don't worry about all the minor stuff that goes on in life. I mean, I think that is the most important thing. And that was one thing. If I had to go back and do my life over again, that would be something I would do, not to sweat it, you know, not to sweat all the little minor things that you would just worry about.
Yeah, that definitely that's good advice. Yeah, I like that. So, how did the career that your boys took, did it have anything to do with what you were kind of talking to them about, or they picked up interests that was different? How did that turn out?
Well, to be honest, my elder son, he is an accountant. He has
Okay.
always been interested in math and doing stuff like that, very concrete stuff. And he's
Hmm.
always enjoyed that. Whereas my younger son, he went to culinary school and he's the development chef for a very large um, company based out of Charlotte,
Hmm.
confectionery company. He's not
Hmm.
happy there, but he would, that nobody's ever 100% happy.
Yeah.
But he was always been involved. Always, when he was 12 years old, he was designing his own restaurants, and he was designing, the menus, how the
Hmm.
restaurant was going to be laid out, that type of thing. So
Interesting.
he's always been passionate about that.
So I guess what I'm hearing is your younger son has that more creative um, gene, and your older son has the more analytical gene.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny. They're so opposite. I don't know if the way it was with your kids,
Totally. Yep.
but like I was mentioning, the older boy, he's more introverted. He's into the analytical, the concrete stuff. Whereas Brandon, my younger son, he is more into the creative, very extroverted, loves to go to these EDM concerts all over the country.
Hmm.
So they're totally opposite.
So are like because at their ages, are they both married? One married? No. What?
Nope. No, Brandon is, I kind of think he's pretty serious about this girl down in Charlotte. She's an engineer by trade.
Okay.
So that would be, yeah.
So you
Cameron,
just
on the other hand, he's just footloose and fancy free.
okay.
He's
Well,
like me. He likes to be by himself a lot.
really? Yeah. I didn't realize that until really after my stroke that I enjoyed the quiet by yourself time. Now
Yep.
I recharge my batteries. I like to be it's almost like I got to charge them, then go out. But but never thought the by yourself quiet environment would be so enticing until I went through it. So that is cool. That is pretty neat that you say that. What path did you take after high school, and was it the one you expected to take?
Interesting. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Now going back to high school, I kind of graduated, let's say in the bottom half of our class.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a lot of good grades to get into college. I wanted to go to Virginia Tech or Madison, a couple schools like that, but I couldn't get in anywhere. So I took a year off and I went to J. Sargent Reynolds, a community college,
Mm-hmm.
and ended up going to Radford, which is,
Mm-hmm.
right over near Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
And that was what I always thought was my destiny to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got out, I worked for Virginia Power because when I was roommates with you, I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Then I ended up going to Anthem Health Insurance Company, and I worked in their IT shop. I was a project manager.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for the next 30 years. I did that for the rest of my career.
Wow.
These were large corporate level, multi-million-dollar projects that I ran. So
yeah,
it was fun and a lot of headache.
Well, it's interesting you say that because the younger people of today are not interested in the 30 plus year work for one company.
No,
they like to just do their thing. They like to move around. They like to have more that freedom to choose more things. I think the average is like they have 8 different careers before they hit 40, 35. So they're always changing to challenge because I think they saw us. Hey, look, I can't see myself working 30 years for a company, which you don't have now anyway. So because there's so many buyouts, so many things. So, the gig economy always, I was in a car with a guy and he had a Tesla and it was kind of nice. And I said, so obviously this isn't your full-time gig. And he goes, no. He says, my house roof, I had to replace the roof on my house and it was 10 grand or 12 grand, something like that. So I thought, okay, he didn't think this, he'd already done it. He said, I'm going to he makes his money driving, when he wants to get on the gig. So he pays off his roof by getting fares from Uber. So he just hustles on the side, makes some extra money, pays for the roof.
Really?
Yeah, I could either, finance it, put it on credit card or whatever, or I just choose to, when I'm not doing anything, I just go on the grid, ride a few rides, make some money, and then put it towards the roof. So there's so much of that now that are not even, weren't possible when we were out there.
No.
He owns 3 Teslas and rents them out.
God, I can't believe that because I was thinking about that. You just brought up a question. When we graduated from high school, nobody had a cell phone. Cell phones didn't exist.
Totally.
Personal computers didn't exist. Cable TV, maybe that might have been in its infancy.
Yep.
Uber, all that stuff, everything has changed so much. So the young people today, they have more opportunities, but in the same vein, technology is pushing a lot of the occupations out.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of AI is going to take over pretty much everything.
Yeah, these questions are from AI so our viewers can understand. I didn't make these questions up. I wouldn't be capable of really coming up with these kind of questions.
No.
You're right about the AI. So what's been one of the most meaningful or proudest moments of your life so far?
Well, obviously it's my kids. I'm like most parents. I think I raised 2 great sons, both independent, strong. That is one thing that I can be very, very proud of.
Mm-hmm.
Professionally, I don't think there's things that people have to be proud of professional. I mean, you're doing your job, you're getting paid to do things.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that was ever a driver for me as far as that. But my kids are the two things that I'm the most proud of.
Yeah.
Despite my wife and I, their mother and I's best intentions, they came out pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's good. That is definitely a moment of being proud. So, what has kept you grounded or brought you joy over the years? Family, hobbies, passions that you could share with our audience?
I don't know. I'm not sure if there's one single, I'll go back and talk about my sons. That, having a good group of friends. I've been friends with like guys, in our high school class for 50 years.
Yeah.
That's kept me grounded and just, I don't know, maybe you call it peer pressure or whatever. But there was never, it's just, I guess it's in my DNA. I've always been kind of a middle of the road guy.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's good. I like that. And it's very unusual because being that I'm down here in Atlanta and separated from the core of Richmond and, people that get together on a monthly basis, which keeps those connections. I talk to people and I talk about high school. I've been telling people, hey, I'm going to my 50th high school reunion. And I'll ask them some questions like, do you stay in touch with your people in high school? Nah, not really. Not really. And so I think with our class and with Benedictine, there's a closer connection, and doing those formation luncheons helps people connect.
Absolutely. You're 100% correct. I mean, the last one was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we had, 15 guys there.
Really?
Yeah. And a lot of them were guys that never show up to these things. And it's great to see these people catch up with them.
Right.
And I get, I really enjoy just catching up with people.
Yeah.
And funny though, I hate to say it, as we're getting older in age, it's funny hearing about all the guys with all the different health issues they have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody, all of us are falling apart.
Oh, it's like hip replacements, knee replacements, shoulder replacements. Those are all these replacements because, the stuff wears out.
And we're all wearing out.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely is a different time of because, it seems like both my son brother-in-laws are hips, Mike Natale, Fred Sewers. That's 4 right there. John Tanner I played golf with. His was shoulder. And it just, guys, it is so many replacements. It's kind of like, hey, this part wore out. Now I need to put another one back.
I think Fred had both of his hips replaced, didn't he?
Yeah.
Lord, all these guys, I mean, we're just falling apart.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's always good when you go to these monthly formations to hear this thing and going, yes, I made it for another month. I'm hanging in there. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I want to say, if we could sum up your journey in just a few words or short story, what would it be? Just for our listeners out there, I want to encourage people to jump on a podcast because our friend Pat Conran is not signed up for the reunion. So I have a mission to get them there.
There's a lot of guys that I'm surprised that didn't sign up for. A lot of guys, maybe it's not their thing anymore. They don't want to get together. But going back to your original question, so far so good. Everything's kind of worked out according to, if there was a plan, it's worked out according to plan. I worked hard. I accomplished more than I ever thought I was going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were living together on Etheridge, did you ever think we would be at this stage?
No, I didn't. We're just trying to get through the day, trying to get through the next party.
Exactly. If that house could talk,
Yeah, oh yeah.
Stories it
There
could
would
tell.
be a few stories that we probably wouldn't be so proud of, but they do. But when you're in your, you know, before 30, 20s, early 20s, our brain doesn't fully develop till 26. So I think our time was before our brain had developed.
Oh my
No,
God.
we were not responsible for all the lame brain things we did because
Where,
the brain wasn't fully developed.
was it your house or the police helicopter flew over and
Yes.
they were
Came
shining the
out the
spotlight?
window. It was like the helicopter, hey, break it up. There, the word had spread quickly, even though we didn't have cell phones. I don't know how I think you just called people up and say, hey, there's a party. And then
Exactly.
that night, it was a little bit more than that house could handle.
I'm surprised that house even stood because I
Yeah.
mean there must have been 300 people in that tiny little house and in the backyard. Oh my God, that was
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then it was like the next day, it was like, I thought we had a keg in here and we couldn't find it. Somebody had thrown it out the window and it was in the yard. So it was like, wow, that had to be a pretty good party.
it was probably in Sanford and Son's yard
Yeah.
because Lord knows that was in whatever was in there. Remember, he used to have the dog that he kept outside all the time,
Yeah.
and the dog was right outside my window, and he would just be the dog would bark
Yep.
all friggin' night.
Oh, yeah. It was nonstop. Yep. So I want to be respectful from your time in retirement. And so what would you I always say this on every podcast. What would be the one thing that you would want our listeners to take home from our time on this podcast?
Oh, gee whiz. One thing. Number one, don't like I said before, don't sweat the little stuff. It's all
Mhm.
small stuff. Number two, I hate to say it, but how do I put it? Go for it. Go for everything. Don't wait and don't hold back. You know what I'm saying? It's like unfortunately, I lost a good friend of mine a couple months ago. And at his funeral, his wife said, drink that bottle of wine, go on that trip. You don't know. I mean, tomorrow you could drop dead. And
Sure.
think about all the stuff that you didn't do, that you wanted to do, and you kept putting off.
Yep. No, that's good advice. I like that. I want to put up on the screen for our viewers like connections and relationships are so important. And you can connect with us. We'll connect you with people. Hopefully, we have more people that can be encouraged to share with us a little bit about what's been going on. So when we go to the reunion, it's not a strange question like, update me on the last 50 years.
Exactly. I saw that email and it's like, I just, I'm not that good of a writer to make my life to this point sound so interesting. There are guys that have had very, very interesting lives,
Mhm.
but the majority of us, live the nondescript, I don't want to use the word dull, but we live good lives and
Yeah.
that's all. It doesn't have to be the most exciting thing in the world, but it's been a good life so far.
And everybody's journey is their journey. So,
Right.
you know what is, you might say this and that, but it's your journey. You own it. You lived it. And that's all that counts. But those relationships, like you said, with your friend passing, life's short.
Yeah.
I saw it 3.5 years ago. I wasn't expected to survive. Nurse was sharing with me. So I kind of like, oh, I got a second chance. It changed me because I didn't worry about the little things. I had 49 days to think about the next chapter, but not everybody does get 49 days to think. So do what you just said. If you've been
Exactly.
something, do it. If you've been, hey, I don't know if I should do that, do it. You don't think of that vacation, take it. Go out, connect with people. Don't sit in your house. Go out there and make those connections. Hang out with your friends. because life is precious and we're not guaranteed anything.
We're not guaranteed tomorrow, that's for sure.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for being on there. We were going to go into the evolution of your name, but we don't have time. So that is like an invitation to come back.
I would love to come back. Actually, I'll tell you, yeah, I think it started at Benedictine. I think it was based on the comic strip Beetle Bailey.
Okay.
And I think that I can't remember who started calling me that. It may have been Chris Bannon.
Whoa. You're Radford guy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Or Steve Shenholzer, because I hung around with Shenholzer a little bit, you know, in 8th grade. So it may have been then.
Well, we hope to have Shenholzer and Bannon on. So I will encourage him by saying your name was mentioned on Chris's podcast. And you got to do a podcast to be able to find out how we were talking about you or what we were talking to you about. All righty.
Okay, Pete.
Thanks so much. We appreciate your time, Chris. See you in a few weeks.
In a couple of weeks. You take care.
Sounds good.
Stay out of trouble.